Hello, hello, and a very good afternoon to all of you joining us here today. This afternoon, we are doing the SkillsFuture at NTU, specifically the digital platforms track. And very excited to moderate the sessions here, especially for this first speaker, Mr. Tzann Chang, who is really a wealth of knowledge and experience that we can look forward to. He's a principal lecturer and consultant in digital products and platforms practice at the ISS at NUS. And his topic is going to be about the platform. Is platforms a new business strategy? And really looking forward. He and I were talking a little bit earlier and really were quite excited about the opportunities presented. And this should be a very exciting and interesting and interactive experience. So with that, I don't want to take away from his time. I'll hand it over now to Tzann.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you for a very kind introduction. And good afternoon, everybody. Hope you have a good lunch and on this cool afternoon. Before I begin, I also like to thank NTU for inviting us to share some thoughts on the digital platform. And also, I want to shout out to the organizing team for a very professional setup and also organizing, especially for the speakers. It has been a very pleasant experience so far. And I look forward to sharing and having an interactive session. So my topic this afternoon is titled, Is the Platform the New Business Strategy? Before we begin, since we are all online, okay, this is the outline, 4 areas that I'm going to cover. I'll start off by talking about what is a platform, and then I'll explain a little bit what we understand as the attributes of a platform strategy. And for item 3, we will swing over more to the participation of the audience to get your inputs based on what we have discussed in the first 2 areas. And after that, we will share some thoughts, hopefully through the online forum. Okay, and that will take us for about 30 minutes, and then after we have a 10 minutes questions and Q&A, so we should hope to be able to address some of the questions. So before we begin, if you may, I would like to understand the profile of the participants in the audience. Let's see whether the Slido is not activated. Okay, yes, go to slido.com. As you can see on your screen on the left, and type in digital platforms, and then help us answer. So just to give us a feel, so that not just for me, but it's also for all of us who are online now, to understand our profile, our job roles, and some of our work experiences. So if you may, just take a few minutes for you to enter that. Okay, I hope everybody can look at the Slido. Okay. Can you just type add response? Just share with us. The first person, a systems architect. How about the rest of us? Who else is online? Okay, we have also a lecturer. We have somebody in the banking world, capital markets. Now the responses are coming in. Thank you. We have people in the product innovation space. We have some folks that are currently enjoying their rest in between jobs. So I hope all of us can see the word cloud. So the size of the word represents the number of responses. So the bigger the size of the word means the more people have responded using that. So we also have some students, undergrads that are currently online. Thank you. We have digital marketeers. We have a librarian. We have some folks in online retail, marketing. We have a head of audit. Folks in communications. We have folks in the finance space as well. Okay, I'll just give maybe another half a minute. So far, we have about 30 responses. Okay. So I'll try to angle the discussions center around. So most of us present are students. Some of us are in between jobs. There are quite a number of us in the online retail space. And also the other group that is quite visible, as you can see on the screens, are lecturers. Okay, I hope you guys can hear me okay. There's a feedback that I'm a bit soft, so hopefully the producer can up the mic volume. Okay, so we'll just continue. Okay, thank you very much. You can still continue to update this. Okay, let me continue. So for the first portion of the discussion, we'd like to understand what we mean by a platform. And we'll discuss this through an example of a company called Amazon.com. I hope all of us have heard of Amazon.com. They started in 1995, so about 20 plus years ago. So I would assume that most of us would have heard of Amazon.com. So let's look at what they have done since they were founded. This is a very busy chart, which I intend to walk through slowly, but this is a very useful chart. Since their start in 95 till 2018, this is the source of the diagram. These are the various products and services that they have launched over the years. And I would like to use this, with your permission, to demonstrate how Amazon started from just a simple website, evolved into a truly one of the good examples of being a platform. And I'll do this by explaining. On the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you can see the various key services that they have started to launch since 95 when it started. And I've numbered them 1 to 13, and I'll cross-reference in the chart itself. So what you see now at the bottom left, the first product they have started, they basically started creating a website, right? Jeff Bezos, the founder, who has been in the news lately, right? If you follow some of the gossip columns, besides the new business news, he had this idea to create a website to sell books. And at that point of time in 95, for those of us who remember, right, we buy books through the bookshops, right? Physical bookshops, whether it's Borders, whether it's popular in Singapore, and Borders is very popular in the US, right? And also Barnes and Noble. So at that time when Amazon started selling books through the website, they were basically reselling the books, right? So they're in direct competition to the brick and mortar physical stores, right? Folks like Borders and folks like Barnes and Nobles. So it was a fairly novel idea. So at that point of time, the site was still just selling physical goods, basically selling a book. And later on, they expanded the repertoire of the product offerings from beyond books, right? And they started to sell other commodities, other products, for example, diapers. Okay, so that's how they first started, and they get some traction. And after that, they evolved the platform to become what is called a marketplace. What is a marketplace? It's a digital online marketplace. Today, we are all familiar with e-commerce shopping, correct? So this is what Amazon is one of the pioneers in this space, right? Where they start to allow an online shopping mall, if you like, to allow other resellers, other distributors of products coming into their marketplace and sell their products. So as an example, at that point of time, Borders could have actually signed on to be a marketplace provider and sell Borders books. So what is the key change here? That means Amazon would have allowed a competitor to come into their platform, to their marketplace, and allow a competitor to sell similar products. You may think, why would any company do that, right? And I think that is one of the classic mindset shift when you take on a platform approach. And later on, in the next few slides, I will explain why this approach is so unusual and so revolutionary. And in today's world, is becoming more and more common. Okay, so just hold that thought. And then later on, they started the third offering called Amazon Web Services. For those of us who are in the IT space, AWS is one of the largest IT cloud infrastructure service provider, right? And today it is the fastest growing business segment within Amazon. So the thinking behind this was, as they ramp up their website, as they ramp up their service offerings, all these are anchored and underlying IT infrastructure will help them, right, to be efficient and so on and so forth. So Amazon was so efficient in terms of optimizing the IT infrastructure, and that makes them have a fairly low cost infrastructure to deliver all these services over the internet, over online. And they started to think, why not I turn this internal cost center into also a profit center, a revenue center, so that I can offer any company who needs a very efficient, low cost IT service, infrastructure service, and they become my customer. So they launched the service in 2002, Amazon. So basically they now provision their internal infrastructure as a services that they offer to their customers, and primarily corporate customers. But even for startups, or even if you have a credit card, you can actually sign up for web services. You can sign up to host your website. You can sign up to host your corporate services and so forth, right? So that again a huge change in mindset, because typically whatever we are doing internally, we deem it to be our corporate competency, right? We usually will not openly share that or even sell that as a service. So again, Amazon is a leader in reprovisioning some of this, not just the internal resources, but also a huge mindset change, right? And it is also a characteristics of playing in a platform level. Okay, next they start to launch Amazon Prime, particularly very successful in US. This is basically originally started as a subscription service, so that they regularly, when they order everything, subscription, the delivery is actually covered within the membership subscription. And you have since evolved now to a membership subscription kind of service, where besides just ordering groceries or ordering products and you get free delivery within probably 1-2 days, you can also buy other stuff. You can also buy other stuff, and delivery is being covered. Okay, so that again was quite new, right, when they launched. And next service that they launched is Amazon Fresh, which is basically a grocery delivery service. As you know, groceries delivery shouldn't take more than a day, right, because of the freshness that's needed. So they started this new service. And item 6, they started to launch online music store. Now this is pre-Spotify, right, if I remember the dates correctly. So again, they created a new online music business, right? It's a totally new industry. And item 7, the Kindle. Some of us the avid readers among us may have, and probably will have come across Kindle. It's a patented electronic reader, very nice, easy on the eyes user interface. And it's also one of very useful products, right, that Amazon have launched. And again, it's a complementary product to the original item that they sell, which is books. So instead of now ordering through Amazon to get a physical book, you can actually now order through Amazon and download an ebook and read it on a Kindle. And the key feature here is actually wirelessly. It has a wireless connection, and you can actually do your downloads and uploads and stuff, right? And Kindle is now a channel. It became, instead of just now a reader, it has now become a channel to access to the rest of Amazon's services. Okay, you can access to other services. You can buy stuff and so forth through the Kindle today. And next, they started and they decided to go into the media business, and they actually created a Amazon Studios that started media production, as you can see on the table. And then they also launched the App Store. I mean, most of us are familiar with the Google Play Store as well as the iOS App Store. So Amazon also launched a App Store on either of these OS, right, to sell to offer some of the products for third-party developers to also come on board. Item 10, they have started to do online streaming services. Again, you see it's complementary to item 8, right? Because whatever they produce, they own the content, they need to distribute, and they can actually do this through online instead of the traditional way of doing it in the cinemas and the theaters. Okay. Item 11, not sure whether this is very well known, and the phone has a strikeout, right? If you notice on the chart, because the product was launched and shortly after that, it wasn't very successful, and it's actually since withdrawn from the market. That's why we don't hear very much of it. When Fire Phone was launched, at that time, iPhone and the Google Android phones were already quite popular amongst the population, right, amongst all of us. But in some news towards beginning of the year, they may be considering to relaunch the Fire phone again, right? So let's watch out for that and see what unique features would they bring to the market for phones. And item 12, they have started to launch the drone parcel delivery service. Again, pioneering, right? They're still experimenting. I think in US, they have started some localized limited offering. And the biggest acquisition so far is the acquisition of the Whole Foods Market, which is basically a grocery chain. So as you can see, the evolution over time, right, over about 20 plus years. In 95, they just have a website. And then today, they've in 2017, 2018, they acquire a whole primarily American based, a grocery chain. So they have now moved from what is called online to offline, right? Where you have solely online presence, they have now since moved into a brick and mortar to have grocery chain and so forth. And they have actually integrated all this in a space of 20 plus years. Okay, now let's take a pause and look at in terms of the results. So today their revenue, they're about 281 billion as of 2019. These are US dollars. And US primarily is still probably about 2/3 of the revenue base. Okay, so 20 plus years. Today its market capitalization is one of the biggest worldwide. Okay, from just a little website. And because they keep innovating in terms of the business model, they also keep leveraging on the platform. No doubt, in origin it's just a website, but they keep leveraging and approaching to this platform, taking a platform approach. Okay, so having discussed a little of that, perhaps I may just take a pause here and then invite some of your thoughts and comments. What do you think of their business? Okay, maybe just take a minute for that. And I also see some questions on Slido. Yes, if you have questions or comments, yes, please feel free to also send it through Slido. The code is a digital platform. Okay, innovative, definitely. Monopolistic. This is something has also been making the press. They feel that Amazon is now grown too big and become too big a monopoly. There are some discussions about whether they should be looked into some antitrust investigation and so forth, but so far not started. But certainly there are some views that Amazon has diversified into so many industries and they have actually put many industries out of business, right? So if you just look at the first business that they started in terms of books, selling books, some of the bookshops are actually, borders have actually shut down, right? Barnes and Nobles, I think, already filed for Chapter 11, if I remember. So many businesses, many industries are very, very wary of anything that Amazon goes into because they are so disruptive to the existing industry and primarily because they are very innovative and also very aggressive. They are very aggressively customer focused. And Jeff Bezos famously say, I don't need to ask the customer whether they want a cheaper product. I do not need to ask the customer whether they need an efficient process. All customers will want a cheaper product, and that's their mantra, right? They will always drive both their internal costs as well as the delivery costs to the lowest cost efficiency as much as possible, and that's the mantra, right? And because of that, because of their relentless technology superiority as well, right? They are now beginning to be more and more diversified. Okay, let us continue our discussion. Okay, there's some time left. Let me move. Okay, so let me take the rest of the about 9 minutes just to explain what we mean by an ecosystem. So the key characteristics is in any ecosystem, there are actually 4 rows, right? You can see the 2 green boxes, and the two blue boxes. First of all, a platform is a IT technology infrastructure, and typically there will be an owner. So in this case, Amazon is the owner. And then on the same platform, Amazon will also provide some of the platform services. For example, billing, for example, data analytics and so forth. So these are providers. But on the same platform, there could well be other providers that are not the owner that could provide some of these services, right? As an example. And the green box is where the roles become interesting. Obviously, Amazon, when it started to sell books, it is a producer of the book selling services. When it started to sell diapers, they are the sellers of the diapers. They are the producer of that service. But when they open up the marketplace, then you have third-party producers that are coming in. So you will have third-party producers that are not Amazon. Okay, and it's a very distinct feature of a platform, right? Because most of the time, a lot of our thinking is that whatever we offer, we will only offer our services, and we will not allow our competitors or even our complementary people who are not related to us to offer the services on our own platform, right? It's very unusual. And then consumers obviously will not just buy products from you, the owner of the platform, but they could also, with the platform approach, buy competitive products or other complementary products from other producers. Okay, so the key characteristic is you have these 4 roles, and for a company or an individual, you can also play, let's say you're a consumer for one product, you can also be a producer for another product, another offering. Similarly for companies, right? You can buy products, buy stuff on this platform, but at the same time, you can also offer your services, your products on the same platform. So every individual, every organization can play multiple roles, except probably the owner role. The 3 roles here are actually interchangeable, right? And I think that's the key characteristic of, and in my definition of a platform. Okay, if you wish to read more, feel free to seek out this very good article, and it's one of the early articles that talk about the platform. Okay, now let's take an example, right? You are familiar with this chart at the bottom. Let's take an example of, let's say, Amazon Marketplace, which I briefly explained, right? So the owner is Amazon, okay? The provider is Amazon plus others, right? As I explained, it could be the billing services, it could be the delivery services as part of the platform. The producers could be companies that are selling, could be small businesses, or could be large organizations, could be a brand owner like Procter & Gamble. It could also be individuals, and consumers are typically individuals, but it could also be organizations. So you see these 4 roles intermix, yeah, within a platform. Okay, and I've listed some. The rest could be given as homework for you guys if you wish to fill up and identify. Okay, so let's continue. So we have discussed briefly what is a platform, and let's dive deeper on some of the key attributes, right? So on the top left, what you see is a very typical pipeline kind of business strategy where we are the producers, we buy stuff from our supplier, could be raw materials, and then we put things together, and then for retail space, you go through a distributor, third-party logistics, and so forth and so forth, right? And so on and so forth, retailers, and then you have end consumers to buy. So most of the time, we are very protective of our own products. We will value add to the raw materials, and then we'll distribute, and we'll try to manage and be very protective of this value chain. But in a platform, the value chain is no longer about being protective of your own customers, but about managing a platform where you allow different players, both the producers and the consumers, to come in and interact. And let's deep dive a little bit into the characteristics, right? So on the left is a platform approach where we are all very protective, right? We control our resources, we are trying to optimize, and our focus is on customer value and growing sales. And most of the time, we are erecting barriers. We are erecting barriers so that competitors can come in. Whereas when you take a platform approach, you are now moving into orchestration. You want to encourage the interaction, because from the interaction of the various players, you bring more value, and you're trying to remove barriers. Because if you take the owner approach, then you're trying to facilitate a marketplace to allow people to interact. And you are basically providing an exchange. And what you gain is really the information, right? The information, and you have the data. I'll finish off with this part for this slide. The data is what is the new oil, right? All the interaction on your platform, you can capture it through the data. And through the data, you will know which product is selling well, whose product is selling well. And even if your product is not selling well, you will know why is it not selling well? Why are people not buying? Through all these analytics of the data, right? That is one of the biggest benefits of being a platform owner. Okay, let me move on. So maybe quickly, can we just, based on what we discussed, can you think of some examples? Maybe spend about 20 seconds just to enter some examples of a platform that you can think of. Well, I look at the Slido questions. Grab, yes, Grab is a very good example. Thank you. Maybe one more. Lazada is also a very good example. Thank you. So you can continue to enter. Let move on. Spotify, yes. Carousel. Okay, now let's look at a model answer, so to speak, or at least my answers, and see whether they match up. Okay, you see a list of the companies. So Alibaba, even GulfTech in Singapore is also becoming a platform. Okay. So now I turn the floor back to all of you by polling you guys on, based on what we have discussed so far, and we have about 4 more minutes left. We want to get into the Q&A. What are some reasons why our organization should take a platform approach? Okay, OD, yes, I think right now not quite a platform yet, but I think there are possibilities. Wider reach, yes. Simple to set up, perhaps we can discuss that during the Q&A. Okay, I'll leave this on. I think you guys still have access to the website. Let me continue to finish up my presentation in the interest of time. So these are my reasons. We can adjust our offerings faster in response to market demands. And our customers actually have a wider range of offerings, right? It's not just our products. Because in the end, all businesses, all of us exist to serve our customers. And we can't fulfill all the needs of our customers. So by playing with a platform, you allow, and you can even invite your competitors to come in and serve, right? You have transaction data, especially as an owner. And you can actually see the trending, right? Today, data is the new oil, right? You can actually see the trending, which products are doing well. You can slice and dice the data by period, by time periods, and so forth. And you can create data through the data and also the interactions. Okay, let me continue. Okay, I'll skip this part on the other thoughts. I guess we will discuss that during the Q&A. Okay, if you are interested in the subject, please do feel free to come by our website. We do discuss this topic in a much greater detail. And I leave my contact details here as well if if you'd like to reach out to me. This is our new building, which we hope that we can welcome all of us sometime next year. Okay, I think that's all. Hand over to Jose, and we can look at the questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tzann. It was a very enlightening talk and definitely thought-provoking as we look around deeper. Some of the examples that you mentioned, people begin to realize that actually there are platforms all around us, and in fact, all the way from the basics of transport to food delivery. Even consumer retail and so forth, even to entertainment. So they're really, if you really think about it, saturating our lives right now. And I think a lot of the audience could connect. Apologies for some of you who said that it was a bit soft. I will try to speak a little bit louder. But a number of people raise good questions, and wonder if you would mind answering some of them.
Sure, pleasure. Yeah.
You know, all the way from, for example, how do you compete with someone like Amazon? Amazon is a big company with huge resources and money. You know, is there a way for you know, someone with more modest resources to get into the platform game?
Okay, I think Jose, thanks for the question, and also thanks the audience for the question. We did have a little chat on that. I think the idea here is not to compete against established players, right? I mean, this is like going against into a Red Sea, right? I think there are niches. There are certainly some of the Amazon's business model could well be adopted in our local areas, could be our cities or in our countries. But to build a platform infrastructure, you could bootstrap, right? For example, you could well use Amazon's web services to even bootstrap your little foray, right, as a start. Use your web services, build up your infrastructure, learn how to interact on the marketplace, learn what the customers want, learn how you collaborate with the platform owner. Then after a while, you develop some experiences, you develop some traction, and it gives you a better insight. Then you can still make a decision whether you want to start doing the investment. You can play in different tiers, right? Amazon can still offer you the infrastructure, or you can use another platform like Alibaba, or eventually you can well build your own platform if you wish. Yeah, but you don't have to start. Remember, Amazon took 20 plus years to get where they are today. Certainly on a very accelerated track, but they started with just a simple website. Okay, so you don't have to try to do what Amazon is doing right now. Yeah, but work and find your own niches. Yeah, thank you. Maybe we go move to the next question.
We're actually getting quite a few questions.
Yeah, I can see that.
very,
very interesting questions.
Very interesting. Maybe I think you actually answered some of them. For example, one of the questions was what were some of the costs involved in setting up a platform and so forth. But I think one question which I saw that was interesting is we looked at Amazon as an example. But going forwards, do you see opportunities that maybe a smaller startup can go into? Things that, for example, are not being really well fulfilled today? And how would we go about discovering these new platform opportunities?
Sure. I think that's more of a generic question, right? Not quite any of the specific questions here. Could be summarized from a few. I guess at the end, every businesses, every startup, whatever you're offering to your customers or the market, you are trying to solve a pain, a need, right, or an issue that your target market segment is trying to get some resolution, right? If they can't solve it themselves, then would they be willing to use and buy your product or services to address that need? And once you find that niche, then you keep iterating, keep understanding whether you are able to address the issues and so forth, and you keep iterating your product, and then from there you quick to find more and more wider and wider niches, whether complementary, adjacent customer segments or different geographies, because today the geography boundaries is still very real to a lot of businesses, right? Work with local partners, work with partners from overseas, right? So those are possibilities, yeah, to find a niche. Start small, find a niche, work hard at it, and develop. But always stay constantly, right? Because some products, after a few years, you will find that may no longer be still addressing the pain that you originally intended to, because the market shift, the technology shift, yeah, and you need to be sensitized, right, to what the market, the consumer really needs. Okay, thank you.
Yes, very good answer there. Since we have only a few minutes left, I'll maybe ask a question that you can use it to wrap up. One of the questions was, isn't platform just another way of being a middleman? In other words, an extra layer in between the consumer and the producer? And, don't platforms therefore result in a price war between all the producers around? And finally, if there's one takeaway that you can we can leave with, what would it be?
I've also been thinking about this question, right? You know, technology companies are disruptors, and most of the time they disrupt the middleman, right? And the middleman, until the digital disruptors come about, are typically the brick and mortar, right? The distributors, the retail stores, shopping malls, and so forth. So the question is actually a very deep question, right? Our platforms, which is digitized primarily, a tech-based kind of platform, are they now the new middleman? In a sense, it is, right? Because they are still facilitating, but do not forget that on the platform, the users, the consumers, and the producers of the services can contact each other directly. Whereas in a brick and mortar world, the access is slightly more challenging, I feel, right? Especially if it's across geography boundaries. On a platform, on an online world, the boundaries is almost just within seconds. Okay, so the control of the owner is I see not so much as a middleman, but they are more like a shopping mall owner, right? The brick and mortar owner, where you have different tenants, but it's not just tenants anymore, but you also have different visitors to the mall who are shopping, who are browsing, who are buying stuff, and they in turn can also start to sell stuff. So it's also becoming like a little bit like a bazaar, right? A pasar malam, right? If you use the local term. So the digital platform has slightly more of the advantage, right? If you like, maybe they're creating more of a digital bazaar, right? To allow different interaction. But the fundamental underlying strategic asset is still really the data. And the data comes from the multiple interactions, right? We use the term network effect to refer to this, right? Multiple interaction among the different players. But the data is where you really can forecast the trends. You can weave out non-unproductive products that are not selling well. You can even add in your own products, right? You say, is this particular category of product, let's say toilet paper, right? Recently, a lot of us are buying toilet paper. You find that toilet paper is very popular, then you may actually start to sell your house brand, right? Which is what actually Amazon has started doing. Now, whenever you want to buy a certain brand products, Amazon will display that if it's offered in the marketplace, but at the same time, they also offer their house brand. Okay, will also offer their house brand. And because they are in control, you can imagine that they can offer it slightly cheaper if they want, or if they really make the numbers for this month and they need to take care of their partner, they may offer it slightly more expensive. So these possibilities, real time, based on the purchase volume, based on at the time of purchase of the consumer, can be done, right, with the technology today. Okay. Yeah,
well, thank you very much for answering that. I wonder if you'd mind putting up your contact information
Sure.
one more time, because I see there were a couple of questions on how to possibly follow up, you know, with learning resources or how to.
Yeah.
So I think definitely one of the things that you could do is to maybe contact you, Mr. Tzann.
Yes, please. I'm LinkedIn, so you can scan the QR code. Happy to have this conversation further. It is still an evolving area of business, but I'm seeing more and more businesses that are starting to, and happy to have further conversations. And really thank you, yeah, and thanks Jose for moderating the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much for attending this session, and hopefully you got something really useful out of it. And have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of the day.